All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is Anna from Captain Hobbes and the Astrocats, and today I'm very excited because we have reached a second milestone in our production, which was continuing to expand our production line using AI tools and pretty much a mixture between my input and the AI. And you guys already saw the previous one that was only 20 seconds long, but this time I redid an entire short that was around 3 minutes, and I'm pretty much gonna run through all of that. But real quick before I get started, you guys know we have a YouTube, we got a Threads, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and we also have now a Patreon. Now the Patreon is going to be very unique because the Patreon is going to have a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. The money that is pretty much collected for that is going to be put towards the future development of this project and help support the team, aka mostly me at this moment, because we were originally a team of 3 and now we're down to 2, which is perfectly fine. Hence why I was so excited to try to, even though I have a very conflict with AI tools and the arts these days, I am also aware that AI is going to be the future. So I'm trying to get in the forefront of that at this time. All right. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm only going to play you a short part of what I did with this project to show you guys the night and day difference. You can go back to the YouTube channel and look up for a video called Audio Short Number 4, The Plavaromatic Popcorn Thrope. It's the original name of the episode. And it's got the Captain Hobbes, like you see the little characters down here. So I'm going to play you a couple minutes of that.
In the far future, where the feline space patrol protects everyone from the evils of the Guppy Empire, 2 crew members talk about an incredibly important issue. Why is the ship on fire, and how did Popcorn Night go terribly, horribly wrong?
Scully! Get your easily exploitable whiskers in here.
Yes, ma'am!
Don't you ma'am me!
Okay, so this episode we did like around 3 years ago, and at the time, as I keep mentioning it took us 5 years to fully develop all the pre-production for this. We got all that square, and now we're at the production phase because we really want to make a nice production episode for us to pitch to hopefully get a full budget to produce the full show. And I believe our writers is between 3 and 5 seasons, but right now we're just trying to produce something to get it off the ground. So just for a comparison, this is what I did using AI tools. I'm going to show you guys this real quick.
In the far future, where the feline space patrol protects everyone from the evils of the Guppy Empire, 2 crew members talk about an incredibly important issue. Why is the ship on fire, and how did movie night go terribly, horribly wrong?
Scully, get your easily exploitable whiskers in here now.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't you ma'am me. I heard you're responsible for the popcorn monster that is terrorizing my shit. Explain.
Rose, you see?
Okay, so already you can see the night and day difference between the previous version and the current version. So let's go ahead and talk about some statistics in here. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this right here, and I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Okay, so one of the things that I originally set out to do when I did this project, including the previous project, is I was trying to see how much of a shoestring budget I could do this in. My original budget, as you guys know, I've been looking for employment for a while, so I was trying to make it as low as possible, and it was going to be around $100. That was the goal, not to just kind of try to stay there. So automatically, right out of the bat, I was mostly counting only on using Adobe, which I already use anyway, even for my consulting and freelancing for my regular employment. And then I already paid for Gemini, and then, maybe 11 Labs. So that's pretty much what I was counting on. So in my mind, I had a budget of closely around $100. The other goal that I wanted to do is I wanted to figure it out. I didn't know how quickly I could make this because it ended up where I still needed to do some major inputs on this project. Consistency was one of the bigger challenges that I had even from the previous short, the 20-second short. So I didn't know how long this was going to take. So in my mind, I kind of rounded around 40 hours. So let me show you how much it turned out. So right here, here's the spreadsheet. I'm just going to blow this up real big so you guys can see. So right now, Adobe Creative Suite. I think I wrote that wrong. Sorry, my spelling is terrible. Anyway, so out of Creative Suite, I ended up using Photoshop, After Effects, Firefly, and I also ended up using Encoder at the end because I needed to exporting, and I don't have a Mac, which is the normal export setting. I had to change it to an MP4 for YouTube. So this actually, believe it or not, 4 pieces of software for $65. And honestly, I used the whole array, like I said, for not just this, but for everything else. But $65 is pretty much how much it costs for the full master suite of Adobe products. And if you try to part them individually, you're better off just getting the master suite because it's by the time you're done, it's going to cost you around the same for only getting part of the suite. So just pay the $65. I'm just telling you it works. Now from there, I picked up Google Gemini, and I was hesitant to go up because I was using Gemini for a lot of my resume stuff or writing or YouTube, like, description stuff. But then I found out that part of your subscription, which is instead of being like $3, it's like $20 a month, is that it gives you access to Flow. So if you guys have been following my process from the previous short, I've kind of go into all of this. So that runs me around $21 a month, which is honestly not bad. And I get a lot of the usage. I'm getting a great ROI from this investment. So I love it. I don't think I'm going to go back for a while if I can avoid it. The one thing I wasn't counting on is that because of the unpredictability of the AI, I ran out of tokens. So I had to go back in and purchase additional tokens. So that was an extra $50 I wasn't counting on, but it worked out, and you guys can see the difference. Okay. And now I do have to pay for Google Drive, which is pretty much just like, for storage. I try not to keep all my stuff locally just in case my computer craps out and I don't lose everything. I've been there, done that. I learned from my 20s. Cloud backups, cloud backups, cloud backups, cloud backups. So that's where that comes in handy. I also use Sonos. You guys know I also do chaos music where I write pretty much my own songs. And then I just kind of use the AI to kind of bring that to life. So I try to do about a song per day. But again, I was having some computer problems the last couple of days, so I couldn't produce anything a day in the last day or so. But I'll be back on the ball tomorrow now that I got my station back. 11 Labs became a very useful tool because I needed to find a way to grab the audio that Flow generated and then modify it so it fits the personality of the character, so the idea of the voice actor of the characters that I wanted. And 11 Labs was perfect, and it was a very low budget product. So it's like technically right now it's like the first 2 months is $11, but the full subscription is $22. So I just put $22 down, and that is for voiceover, sound effects. Sonos is mostly music, but 11 Labs does a lot of stuff. There are a couple complaints that I have with it, which I'm going to talk about it here in a little bit. And then the last one that I used was Microsoft Movie Clip Champ, which comes with my Microsoft subscription. Believe it or not, I use all the stuff all the time. I use Google and I use Microsoft. I use this like nonstop almost every day. I bounce between all the software. Like I know like over 20 pieces of software. Okay, so let's kind of look at the time. So this took me, the full video is just over 3 minutes. It's like 3 minutes and like 5 seconds, and that's where the credits at the end. I pretty much went ahead and I started timing myself how much time I was spending on this project every day. So right here, one day, I started like 2 weekends ago. So the first day was 9 hours, the second day was 5 hours, and then again, like I told you guys, I have to kind of look for work throughout the week because I'm still kind of transitioning between one job and another till I can find another one. So during the weekday, I will focus more on job hunting, whatever I need to do, but then on the weekends, I will ramp it up, and that's including this weekend as well. So right now, I'm roughing out around 50 to 60 hours, which is actually not bad. That's not even including me doing the export today. So the last time I counted before I added to his time, it was 51 hours. So I'm going to safely say around 60 hours. So why is this fantastic? I used to do animation in my 20s, and one of the things that I worked on was the Spike TV Video Game Awards of 2004. You could just go ahead and YouTube it. I'm the person that uploaded for my portfolio. But that project took the studio that I was working in. It was around 10 people for 6 months straight for 30 seconds. Now, granted, you go to the video and there's a lot going on, But, just to kind of do some basic math, and again, I'm not saying these are the actual numbers, but this just kind of give you a ballpark. So you have 10 people working on a project. Let's assume that they cost $1,000 a month for their labor. I know that's incredibly lowball, but this was like 20 years ago, and it's still lowball for 20 years ago. But again, this is just an idea. So now you're looking at 10 grand a month. So about by the time it was done, it was close to 60 grand. Let's just say it was close to 60 grand. So you had 10 people, minimum 40 hours per week, nonstop for so yeah, it stacks up. So time and cost is astronomically a lot less than if I would have tried to go out to a professional team. And I did try to reach out to a professional team for a pilot, and when I did, it turned out to be, I think he quoted me about 10 to 15 grand, and I simply don't have 10 to 15 grand for 20 minutes. So this is a good alternative that we can get funding to get the full show up and running. So all in all, this was very good. I am actually really happy with the results and what we got out of it. So this is really gonna it's not perfect by any means of the imagination, but compared to what we had before, it is a night and day comparison right here. So we're going just from this really stiff back and forth engagement with these characters to now we have some talking, we got some moving, we got some blinking. So this was more of an animatic, while this right here is trying to get more into animation. Like I said, it is not 100%, but it's still great. Now, what did I go out to do? What was my goal? So I'm going to go to these right here. Can I do this on my own? Obviously, the answer is yes. I'm one of those people that it takes a lot for me to quit, but I did it. I got it done under 60 hours. How long did it take me? 50 to 60 hours. What was the budget minus my time? Okay, so that is important. The budget minus my time, because my time is worth money too. But in this case, we're only talking about software. I'm also not including hardware, because you're going to need some sort of computer and some form of a way to draw digitally. Like I've been using this Intuos 2 for like almost 20 years. It still works. I love it. So minus the hardware, I'm looking at around $200 for the existing equipment that I have. What was the percentage of what was my percentage in input? So I'm going to say my input was around 30%. The AI did around 70%. And let me explain. Each one of these frames that you see right here, each one of these poses, and some of you guys have been following me along, this right here, I have to hand draw. The background, I use AI, and I use a combination of like Photoshop to get it to look like this. The background here, mostly AI generated, but I still have to modify it in Photoshop. And then right here, every time that I have to submit something to the AI, I have to hand draw it and set it up first. So that way the AI had something to just kind of process. And that's also part of the continuity thing that I was trying to maintain, because it's really hard to try to keep your character styling very consistent. And even with this, I gave it my best and I got pretty close, but the continuity was an issue. So I'm going to say I contribute about 30%, and then 70% was done by the AI after I did the heavy prompting. So what I mean by that is that even though I gave the panel and I wrote the prompt, it still cut down my time for animation significantly by me handing the production part to the AI. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it what I wanted? No. Could it have been punchier? Yes. And when you see the full video, which I'm going to post the link at the end of the video, you see what I mean. How satisfied am I? I am about, with this process, I'm about 80% satisfied. And when you see the whole thing on yourself, you're going to see what I mean. Like, it's pretty good at certain points, but it's kind of weak at like a couple points that it could have been punchy and it would have given the extra oomph that it needed. But again, this was an experiment to see if I could do this with a small budget, a short time period, and using AI tools. That was my parameter. So that's why you didn't see me go back in and do a lot of hand-drawn animation, because I want to see what I could do with the AI. Let me see. Okay, what I learned. In this process, what I learned the capabilities and limitations of all the AI tools, and I mean all of them. All of them have they have like they have pros and cons, and again, if you go to the Patreon where I literally go behind the scenes, I talk about this in depth, every issue, every hiccup, how many times I have to try doing the same shot, how I modified the prompt. So I learned what it can and what it cannot do, and there's certain times that no matter how much you put the prompt in and you modify it just simply cannot perform what you want it to do. So that's one of the things that I did learn. The other thing that I learned is how to heavily refine my prompts. That's something that you would think doesn't take a lot of talent, but it does. You have to be able to write stuff that is very descriptive, down to a T, and even then, when you tell it exactly what you want, and you run it through their AI, and you did all this to make sure the prompt is great, it still will get confused. So I got better at it, but I still could get better at it in the future. Okay, what are the dislikes that I have? Sometimes it's hard to control, and the main difficulty that I had with this project was character design continuity. And I think most people that are learning how to use these tools, I think a lot of them would tell you the same thing. I've been watching a couple artists that are doing a lot of shorts. I use LinkedIn a lot, and what I've really noticed right off the bat is that it does 3D very well and realistic pretty well, but it doesn't do 2D very well. So this was a very uphill battle as I was doing this project. So food for thought if you're deciding to go through this process yourself. I'm just letting you know it doesn't do 2D very well, especially if you're dealing with very dynamic posing. It just doesn't know what to do. So just food for thought. Sometimes there will be lack of emotions. I pretty much pointed that out before, that no matter how I put in the description, it just would not give me the on the delivering the lines. So that's one of the things, and that's both for Flow and for 11 Labs. Even when I try to like modify it, could not get it to give me the punch that I wanted. So that's my one complaint on that. I was operating in shorts at 8 seconds at a time. So there's that. The fact that the AI cannot do very short sentences. So if you give it just like a yup, it would just fill up the rest of the 8 seconds with random nonsense. So again, a lot of that I discuss in depth in my Patreon. And then the last thing, and this is something that I'm going to probably research a little bit more before I go to the next project, is that when I brought over the audio from Flow to 11 Labs and I did the voice changing, because they say one voice can be turned to a ton of voices, and while that is true, one of the problems that I ran into is that no matter how much I modified the little sliders, because I still haven't found where I can go ahead and code my audio yet, so that's part of my homework to do for the next one, it will start slurring the words. So instead of saying sprinkler system, we'll say sprinkler system. It cannot do things like I'm, has to be like I am, cannot. So I have to kind of learn how to modify those as I was going through. So at the beginning, some of it was okay, but then as I went through, no matter what I did, and I will constantly have to be clearing out going through my browser settings, just so if the AI got stuck for some reason, I just kind of reset everything. But yeah, that's pretty much been my experience with this. Will I do this again? Absolutely, because now the next time I go through it, I realized when I started I was struggling because I went from a 20-second short with 3 scenes to a 3-minute short with 31 scenes. That is 10 times more than what I did the first time. So, and I still managed to do it in a relatively short time to do this. So I am pretty proud of what I did. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Can it be better? Yes. Am I going to try to improve as I go through? Yes. But for the meantime, I just kind of, I'm going to say thank you for supporting us. I hope you guys like the progress that I'm showing. And like I said, I'm going to keep trying. And by George, I'm going to get this off the ground. And it's starting to live. Our little rocket now has wings attached to it that are not super glued together. Now it's got duct tape too. So let's get this ragtag operation off the ground. And that's what I want to do. But anyway, guys, I appreciate it. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And I said, if you want to see the more in-depth behind the scene, please support, the team by going to Patreon. I made the subscription like incredibly low because again, I want to make sure that, you guys, can see all this stuff, but I just needed to do something so I can, as you can see, I'm paying a lot of this out of pocket, and that will help me keep that production going and easing that off for me while again, I try to find new employment. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Cheers.